Hi, welcome back to the YouTube channel. And as promised, today is going to be the first video I do where I'm looking at some of the cards coming out from Brothers War from a commander's perspective. So, as I film this, we're quite a way off from Brothers War being released on MTGO. We're actually Halloween-ish. Let's go around there, shall we? So I've had to go and look for some of the previews. And there's one that caught my eye straight off, and I was using the preview page on MTG Goldfish. And we have got it all set up so it's all running, but the deck list isn't live yet, but I can show you what's going to be there. It's stored in my background bit. So I did pick one of the commanders, and I quite like the look of this one. It is going back to a colour pair that I've done a lot with, which is Simic. Probably people are fed up with Simic colour pairs by now, but this one just caught my mind, and I was like, yeah, right, let's start with this one because this is going to be a little bit of fun. So, without me talking for too much longer, let's have a look at the card, which is Tawnos, the Toymaker, 3 green and blue for a 3/5 legendary creature human artificer. So that's quite nice. That's not a bad set of stats to start with. And whenever you cast a beast or a bird creature spell, you may copy it, except that copy is an artifact in addition to its other types. The copy becomes a token. Okay then. So it's a kind of a copy card. It's a bit like Adrix and Nev in that it does copy tokens, but this is a very specific way of doing it. You've got to be casting beast spells, or you've got to be casting bird spells for this to work. And they come into play and they're artifact copies of those creatures. So it's going down a token deck, but it's also going down a specific creature types. So how did I put this together? Well, as I said, the deck list isn't ready available yet, so I will hopefully link it into the video when it comes up. But I've decided just to go ahead and do this now. I'll do an update on the video. You can keep your eyes out for it. It'll be down below. So for now, this is how I did it. So using MTG Goldfish, because Tawnos is there, but as you can see as I do this, this deck contains a card not legal in Commander. The deck will be not publicly searchable until the above errors are fixed. So I will put the link in. Hopefully you can get to it and have a look. Ignore the costs. I've put a couple of cards in it, a bit pricey, but anyway. So I decided to go down with how am I going to work this out, and the first thing I did was to ignore the creature start with is try and work out how I'm going to make all my creatures birds and beasts. And the easiest way in the world to do that is Arcane Adaptation. If you haven't seen Arcane Adaptation before, it's when it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards that you own that aren't on the battlefield. So basically everything becomes that creature type if it's a creature. Nice. That's exactly what we needed, because for Tawnos, who I'm going to have to keep flicking between here, we need them all to either be beasts or birds. Now, I went through MTGO. There's a lot more beasts there's a lot more good beasts than there is a lot more good birds. So I'd really strongly suggest on Arcane Adaptation you choose beast and then have everything come in that way. So there's a few little things I did. Oh, they're getting the adverts as well. A few little things I did to try and make this a little bit more with us. Let's go with that, shall we? So Reflections of Litarjara are in. Choose a creature type. When you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. So you copy the beast that copies a copy. You can work out. It's going to get really confusing really quickly, I think, with this in play. Alongside of that, I went with a few artifacts that are quite good. So we went with the Icon of Ancestry. Choose the creature type. Probably going to be beast. They all get +1/+1. Then you can look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal a creature card, put it in your hand, etc. Same with Door of Destinies. When you play a spell of that type, put plus a charge counter, whatever they're calling it. Is it charge counters? Yeah, charge counters on Doors of Destiny. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each charge counter on that Door of Destiny. Is this making sense so far? I hope so. So they're the main parts of the deck. Now, if you've got ways of searching these out, I couldn't go and I didn't have the tickets to go and buy some of the ways of searching these things out. If you've got them, feel free to use them. So what did I do? Well, let's look at the creatures. We'll ignore Tawnos. That'll come live once this actually becomes available. So creatures. I did try and pick some birds out. So we had Artificer's Assistance, Birds of Paradise, Gilded Goose, Augury Owl, Ice Feather Avon, Palace Familiar, so on and so forth. And then I went with some sort of like rampy creatures as well. So we've got Arbor Elf, Birds of Paradise is a bird and a ramp. Elvish Mystic, We've got Landwire Elves. I've got Elvish Archdruid, Circle of Dreams Druid, Paradise Druid. What else have we got? Anything else that ramps creature-wise? Not really. Spells, Rampant Growth, Kodoma's Reach. And that is it. Obviously, with the artifacts, I should have said about Ramp earlier. Mana Crypt's in, Mox Tanzelites in, Soul Rings in, Arcane Signets in. The ones you'd expect to see from any of my decks if you watched any of my other videos. I've also chucked in Mana Reflection because I kind of figure we might need it in this deck. With Tawnos being 5 mana to cast, get kills once it's 7, get kills twice is 9, get killed 3 times is 11. You're going to need somewhere to ramp your mana up harder than this, and Mana Reflection is a really good way from my point of view of doing it in this type of deck. As for the other things, we did go with some beasts, as you can imagine, because, you know, we like beasts. Hunting Mower, for a start, came in, and when it comes to the players put in the graveyard from play, put a +1/+1 counter on a target creature, so that's quite nice. I've gone with... Oh, that comes up really badly on here, doesn't it? Hold on, let me open that in a new tab. I've also chucked in Keen, Dina Substance from... Strixhaven, if I remember correctly. So you can either cast it as the Elf Druid for 2 and a green for a 2/2 and exile top card of your library. It's a land, put it in your hand, otherwise put a study counter on it. And then you get to create some nice fractal tokens. Not much use. But they are the other half. Ibram, Dina Theory is a bird. So yeah. Exile the top X cards of your library and put a study counter on each of them, and then put a card you own in exile with a study counter on your hand. So basically, the first time you do this, you want to be doing it for sort of like 4 maybe. Then any other turn, it's 2 mana, tap, draw a card. Or get one of the cards out of exile. It's not a bad little deal. Hence why that's here. We have got some other interesting creatures I'll point out. Sylvan Billstrider's just here for a little bit of life gain, but it's 3 mana for, you know, 3/2. And if you've got Tawnos in play, you'll get 2 of them. And of course, I've also got, if we've got Adrix and Nev in play, it becomes very nice. Tawnos, Adrix and Nev, and Parallel Lives. You get a lot of tokens and a lot of things trigger, and it's very nice. Thank you very much. I will take that any day of the week. It gets even better, obviously, if you got the reflections in play as well. So just bear all that in mind. It's going to get really confusing, this deck, really quickly. Carrying on down, Curiosity Crafter is in as well. No maximum hand size, and whenever a creature token you control deals damage to a player, draw a card. Going to have a lot of tokens, so I'm hoping you'll draw a lot of cards with Curiosity Crafter. Some of the other things, Echo Inspector, Vangreen Firstborn, just so we can get some beats in. I've chucked in Rashmimi, Eternity's Crafter, so we can draw some extra cards if we need to. Thieving Magpie. I had to go and buy a Thieving Magpie. It was terrible. I didn't even know I didn't have one. But we have one now, and it's in the deck. Overworld Otterd's out as well. Arbol Stomper seemed like a good idea. The Pack Leader also seemed like a good idea for drawing some extra cards. Owlbear is a bird, which quite amused me when I saw this come up on my bird search, so I decided to put one in. It's got Trample, so it's not bad, and you get to draw a card for 5 mana for a 4/4. Cope with that, and it's quite good fun playing it in the Forgotten Realms set, so hey, hopefully it'll be fun for you here on Commander as well. Ridgegale Tusker I chucked in, just so we can chuck some +1/+1 counters around. Thragtusk, sorry, Consecrated Consecrated Sphinx is one of the few non-beasts in the deck, but obviously, if we've got our Arcane adaptation, then it becomes a beast or Sphinx beast as such. So that's why that's here. Same with Progenitor Mimic, just so we can get something copied. Realistically, if I'm going to have this in play, I want to be copying something like the Stomper, the Arborback, Thragtusk even, just so we can gain the life. I chucked in Rorix, mainly so we can deal the damage though it wasn't there, which is quite nice, which is also quite a good target for Progenitor. And Rampaging Baloths. Yeah, it's a beast. It's a 6/6 beast with Trample. You might as well have one. Why wouldn't you in this day and age? Sagu Mauler is quite nice. It's got Hexproof. Terra Stomper can't be countered and has Trample. Cragplate Baloths in as well. Mainly so we can kick it. We've got a lot of ways of kicking it, and I'll come to that in a minute. And coming into play as a 10/10 with haste is pretty good. Now, we haven't got any way of giving it Trample, but it does give your opponent quite a big headache to deal with, unless they've got a lot of Death Touch creatures, right? So be warned. Plated Crusher is in as well for trample and hexproof, which is obviously a little bit better than this one. Ancient Silver Dragon, because hey, we want to draw cards with this deck. And then Craterhoof Behemoth to finish the game off. And it's also a beast, which means you get probably 2, maybe 3 triggers, because you get 3 copies of it, which will be fantastic. Only a couple of Planeswalkers. Oko's in just so we can make some food, actually, in this case, to keep us alive until we get to the end of the game. And Tamiyo, I'm still trying to find a home for Tamiyo Completed Sage. So here we go again, another blue-green deck with Tamiyo in it. Spells, we've got Mana Drain for a little bit of counter, Rampant Growth, Kodoma's Reach, I've already mentioned. Shamanic Revelation to draw those extra cards and gain that life, because we'll have a lot of creatures with power 4 or more. Alvin's Epiphany and Nexus of Fate, just so we can take the extra turns we might need at some stage during the game. And then Clone Legion. Again, I'm determined to win again with Clone Legion at some stage. Haven't done it yet. It'll keep going in my blue-green decks until I do. We've talked about all the ramp and the extra things. The only thing we haven't talked about here is Bootlegger's Stash, because I figure we might need the mana. So again, Bootlegger's Stash is one of the cards I like playing with, and we might as well create the treasure tokens, so we're getting on with it. As for the other artifacts, enchantments we haven't talked about, Growing Rights is in, just so we can go and dig down into our cards and find our creatures as we need them. Likewise, Hadana's Climbs in as well. Chuck some +1/+1 counters around, and then maybe give one of our creatures flying to win the game. It seemed like a good plan to me. Parallel Lives I've mentioned, Reflections I've mentioned, and Mana Reflection I've mentioned. The land, you can see it's all there. This is why the actual price is expensive in real life, because I've got a Gaia's Cradle in here, and a Rejuvenating Springs isn't the cheapest thing, but it's not too bad beyond that. Reliquary Tower's in, please notice, because we are drawing a lot of cards. And I've also chucked in, as you can see, there's 5 islands, 5 forests, and then you have a Cradle of Growth, because most of the things are green that we want to be casting. So that's it. That's my little introduction to Tawnos, the Toymaker. Hopefully, I'll be playing on stream as soon as I can pick one up on MTGO. I hope you've enjoyed this video. They're going to be the videos that I'm talking about where I'm doing work with Brothers War, going to look like this for a little while until the set comes out on MTGO, which hopefully will be very soon. So stick with me. I hope you enjoyed this one. Anything you think I've missed, let me know down below in the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. And hopefully come and give me a follow on Twitch as well. As I record this, I'm up to 130 followers on Twitch. If you can come over there and chuck me a follow, I'd really appreciate it, which would be fantastic. So that's it from me today. Thanks for watching the video for this far, and I will see you very soon, hopefully on stream. Take care. Bye. Helps if I can hit the stop button as well. Bye.